Hi, I'm Shauna Davis, the Epicurean Connection, and today we are honored to have Joey Widmer with us from Widmer Cheese Cellars in Wisconsin, in the town of Theresa. And thank you, Joey, for taking the time to join us on our cheese chat.
Well, thank you very much, Shauna, for inviting me to do this virtual cheese tasting. I really appreciate it, especially in this new era that we're in, and I think it's a good way to showcase our products and still connect with people. Uh, so, thank you very much.
Absolutely. And our tagline for our cheese chats now is Cheese Chats, creating community through cheese. As we're all separated in our own little pods, safely tucked away, we don't get to see each other at food shows and trade shows. So this is my way of connecting all of us and then sharing it with our viewers and listeners.
Absolutely.
So Joey, could you share your cheese plant and the history? I know you're coming up on 100 years next year.
Yes. 1922. So we have roughly 2 years to go before we hit 100 years. So 98 years in business thus far. So my great grandfather started the business in 1922. He's a Swiss immigrant. He came here in 1905 at the age of 18. And before he came to the United States, he had to have a job lined up. And he found a job as an apprenticeship cheesemaker. And that was in northern Wisconsin, in the village of Greenwood. So he worked there for a while before he bought our plant in 1922. But during that time period, his girlfriend, he actually communicated with his girlfriend during that time via email. Just joking. He wrote letters back and forth to his girlfriend. And in 1911, she decided to visit him here in the United States. And he met her in New York City at Ellis Island.
Wow.
But they would not let her off the ship. And he said, well, how can she get off the ship? And they said, you have to marry her. She has to be your legal wife. So he married her on the dock. And they honeymooned in New York, and then they came back to Wisconsin, and eventually ended up here. So my great grandfather, he started with the brick cheese. He started with the washed rind aged brick, which you see Shauna picked up there. It has the blue label, but that cheese was invented in the county where we make cheese, which is Dodge County, Wisconsin. It was invented here in the 1870s by another Swiss immigrant named John Yassi. And he made that for a while, but when my grandpa came here, he saw that there was a heavy German population, and that was a cheese that catered to their wants for a cheese, because it is a European style washed rind cheese. So that's what he initially started making. And he kept making that, but then he also started making Colby, which is also a American original, invented in the village of Colby, Wisconsin, which is about 150 miles north of our plant, almost in northern Wisconsin. So he started with those two cheeses, and then eventually started making cheddar as well. Cheddar being one of the more well, it's a very notable cheese. Everybody knows about cheddar, so it's universally popular, not just around the local community here in Theresa, but also very popular, throughout the United States and worldwide. So I think that's why he chose to make cheddar as well. But he also had three sons, one being my grandpa and my two great uncles. Like I said, two great uncles and my grandpa. They took over the plant from him, so it'd be John, Jim, and Ralph. Jim and Ralph were both World War II veterans, so that's pretty cool. Yeah. But they all three of them worked here at the plant, so they would be the second generation. And then my dad took over from them in the mid '90s. He took over from them. He would be the third generation. So. Little bit of history there.
Yeah, that's great. And your cheese plant is open to the public. People can still walk in during these times and purchase cheese?
Yes, they can. We closed it in March, mid-March, when they closed public schools here in the state of Wisconsin, and we opened it back up end of June, beginning of July. We opened it back up. It just took a lot of safety precautions, but it's a state-of-the-art factory because you can walk into our retail store and you can see the cheese being made right from, it's like being on the production floor almost. So it's open and it's grandfathered that way. So,
I feel
and
like I've been able to visit your plant 3 times over the years.
okay, yeah, and we have open vats, so you can literally see the cheese in the vats. So I think people really appreciate that, and they get a feel for what it's like to make real cheese and how it was invented to be made. So
And you're one of the few cheesemakers that are still making brick cheese. And I hear and I've seen the bricks that you use. Can you share that with the viewers today?
yeah, so we use a baking brick to press the cheese, and been using the same brick since my great grandfather started in 1922. So a baking brick is used in the baking process, but we used it to press the cheese, and that's how it was invented. So to explain it to you a little bit more in detail, what we do is we pour approximately, random weight, we pour approximately 5 pounds of cheese curds into a stainless steel form, and at that point the curds are the size of cottage cheese. And with the curds, there's whey, so there's openings, tiny openings in the stainless steel form to let the excess whey out. And then we put a stainless steel plate on top of the curd, and then on top of that stainless steel plate, we put a 5-pound brick, and that makes approximately a 5-pound block of brick cheese.
Got
So
it.
that's how that's made. That's how it got the name brick cheese originally. So
Well, I know when we built our pizza brick oven, I called your father to ask him where can I get those bricks, and I ordered them from Wisconsin.
okay, I actually have some pictures here of that process. So here's an old picture. That would be my great grandfather, and then that would either be my grandpa or my great uncle Jim. I can't quite tell because they look so much alike.
That's great.
And then here's a photo of my grandpa here. You can kind of see the resemblance with my father.
Mhm.
Sorry about Blair. And then my great uncle Jim. They're actually scooping the curd that I said the size of cottage cheese at this point, scooping that curd into the stainless steel form for the
Mhm.
brick cheese, and then you can see the bricks on the shelf.
That's
It
great.
looks exactly the same now, because you want to keep it authentic, and that's kind of our niche.
Right. And your cheeses are available around the country through direct mail order currently?
Yep. We do direct mailer throughout the entire continental United States. So if you want to order cheese, you can visit our website at www.widmerscheese.com.
And I'll be sure to put that on our YouTube station and our website for you.
Great.
I want to share with your viewers today that you sent us a 1-year, a 4-year, and a 15-year cheddar. That's
Yeah.
amazing. I
Yep.
mean, it's like a prize to me, a 1-year cheddar. A 15-year cheddar to a 1-year, to do a vertical tasting is amazing.
Yeah, definitely want to start with the milder cheddars and work your way up to the 15, or because once you try the 15, that flavor will overpower all the other flavors. So
like the mild, I would make a grilled cheese sandwich. I would scramble in my eggs,
yes,
my tacos.
yep. Mild cheese makes it melts a lot better.
Mhm.
The protein structure is still there, but as the cheese ages out, the protein structure breaks down, and as the cheese ages, when you try to melt it, it doesn't melt as well. Still melts, but not as well as a mild cheddar.
So when we move to a 4-year cheddar, it's not going to melt as smoothly, but it more crumbles. And how would you serve the 4-year cheddar?
How would I would serve it. I like it on burgers, to be honest with you. But
Okay,
plain is good as well.
I like it.
Kind of the rule of thumb is the milder the cheese, the more you use it for ingredients. And the sharper the flavor of the cheese or the stronger profile of the cheese. You kind of want to eat that plain or accompany it with a dark beer or some kind of wine, red
Nice.
wine.
So
Yeah.
the 4-year cheddar I'll slice and enjoy with a nice glass of wine or a pint of a nice brown ale.
Yes, that's what I would do.
Okay, I accept that suggestion. And then the 15-year, this is just for nibbling and tasting and enjoying.
Yes, yep. Very, smaller pieces, because the flavor is so sharp, and also because of the price point. Because when you age a cheese out for 15 years, we have to, keep it in our inventory for 15 years, and I guess there's kind of an art to aging it out. So, yeah.
Joey, we're from California. Your price on a 15-year cheddar is low.
That's the Wisco price, the Wisconsin price. That's how we do it here.
Price, like
Midwest.
in California, that would be twice the price.
I believe it. Yeah.
So for this 15-year cheddar, I'd slice it off and eat it and enjoy it on a cheese plate.
Yes.
Yep. I love your pretzel rolls that you have out there in Wisconsin.
Yep. I probably wouldn't put it on a cheeseburger or make a grilled cheese with it, although you could. I'm not saying that you can't, but it would overpower the rest of the flavor of the burger. So.
Although, I might have to pair it. Do you know Kurt Damnier, who owns Beecher's Cheese?
I do. Yep.
So Kurt has a beef company, and you might want to exchange a mail order with him.
Sure.
He has the most amazing beef that he shipped us a box, even though we were doing a cheese tasting.
Okay.
The beef to pair with his aged Beecher's cheese, and it was amazing.
I believe it. I'll have to try that out sometime.
Oh, definitely do yourself a favor.
I will.
But this 15-year cheddar, I would just slice it, nibble on it, enjoy on a cheese plate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lots of good charcuterie.
Yep.
And actually, I just got some wild elk and venison jerky. I think it might go perfect.
That would pair well together, definitely.
So before we continue on, here in California, it's very difficult to find cheese curds. And you not only have cheese curds, but you have brick cheese curds.
Yes, that's why I sent those to you. People typically think of cheese curds, and that cheese curds are from the cheddar variety of cheese. Before the cheddar is pressed into a block, typically made in a 40-pound or 640 block here. The curds are what is before the block. Now with the brick curds, we're the only ones that I know that do a brick curd.
I've never heard of them.
Yeah, on the day that we make our brick cheese, before it goes into a salt brine overnight, we just cut it into cubes and salt it, and then they're squeaky, on the same day, and we sell a lot of out of our retail store. But we also sell the vacuum packed packages that you have there, and they're usually about 1 to 2 weeks old at when we sell them. But you can mail order those. So
those are delicious. So tonight I'm gonna deep fry these in our air fryer.
Yeah, they're great deep fried. Yep.
And I can't wait. And they're delicious, by the way. I just ate 2.
Okay.
I opened up your brick cheeses, and can you share the process of making the brick cheese spreads, because we don't see those out here?
Yeah. So if you're familiar with
Spread them in here so you can see them.
Pine River pre-pack, Phil and Mary Lindemann, they do a great job with cheese spread. So my dad and Phil were at a food show, probably right around the year 2000, and they were talking about doing a cheese spread, and my dad said, "Have you ever done a brick spread?" And Phil said that they had done one in the past, but they didn't do it anymore because the factory shut down or whatever. So they started experimenting again, and they started with the brick spread. So what that is our aged brick cheese, and then Pine River mixes it with a white cheddar. They tried the combo of just straight wash rind brick cheese. It was just a little bit too strong, but adding it or accompanied with the white cheddar, just perfect flavor. Yep.
It's just the perfect texture and consistency and flavor. I put on a little crostini here.
Yeah, that has won some probably 5 awards. I think the last one it won was at the 2019 ACS. So
nice. And you said we have a green olive and the jalapeno. I love the jalapeno one because it actually has a little spice to it.
Yeah, we just started the pepper, the jalapeno brick spread, and then we kind of experimented with some other flavors like pistachios and caraway seed, and then kind of looked at see what other people had as far as spread, and then we came up with the green olive. It's kind of good flavor with the cheese, and also no one else has that, so
I hadn't seen it, and the green olive is a nice balance.
it is. Yeah, it just seems like some people they either hate olives or they love them. So, but the olive lovers definitely like the spread. So,
We love olives here in California. You do a walk by, Ben? This is my husband, Ben. Hey, Joey, Ben.
hey Ben,
Hey,
nice to meet you. Joey Widmer.
On today.
What's that?
Thanks for coming on.
Oh yeah, thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Our pleasure. Looking forward to the old one too.
I just
yeah.
cut it. It's amazing. I mean,
Thank you.
I'm going to be so full by the time I get to lunchtime from your cheeses.
Thank you.
But
Yeah,
the green olive, California would love this because we're all about olives, olive oil, olives.
Okay,
It's like it's very California for a Wisconsin cheese, if you would.
absolutely. Yeah.
And it's delicious. And then I cut open the brick cheese, but I wanted to share the exterior. It's so like nice, sticky, delicious,
Yeah.
beautiful essence to it.
Yep. So when we make that cheese, we put it in a salt brine overnight. So we make the cheese. It sits on a make table overnight. We drain the excess whey off, and then the next morning we put it in a salt brine where it sits for anywhere from 9 to 10 hours, and then we take it out, and then it goes into a cheese curing room, and it's in the curing room for 7 to 10 days, and we wash it every day with a certain culture that gives it that surface rind. So it's a wash rind cheese, pretty labor intensive to make, but as you can see, the exterior of the cheese has that washed rind on it.
Oh yeah.
So that's the aged brick cheese, and that's how it was invented to be made, a European style type cheese. That's why the Germans loved it so much when my grandpa moved here, and there was a heavy German population in the town of Theresa. Theresa is named after Solomon Juno, our village, but the Germans call it Theresa, so that's how it got the Theresa pronunciation,
Oh, funny.
because of the heavy German population. So
Right. Hence why you have all these draft beer pubs in your area.
yes, yeah, we have more bars than churches here.
That's a good sign of a town.
Yes.
So Joey, go ahead, please.
Go ahead. I was gonna say, then we have the mild brick.
Yes.
The only difference between the aged and the mild is the aged is the wash rind cheese. The mild, we add an auto color to distinguish the two.
Oh, okay.
Because of that orange coloration. But all cheese is naturally white like the aged brick. But anyways, back from my rant. The mild brick goes in the salt brine like the aged brick, and then we put it in a curing room where it sits for only 3 days, and then we vacuum pack it right away. We don't wash it at all.
Such a difference in flavor between the aged and the mild.
The aged brick, once it comes out of the curing room, we pack it in parchment and foil, and it goes into a cooler below 45 degrees, and we keep it so it's not airtight in the packaging, and it reaches peak in 3 to 5 months. It allows the cheese to age faster. It's kind of like a cousin to Limburger cheese almost. The longer you would let it age out, the more similar it would become to Limburger, but it's not quite that pungent.
It's delicious.
Thank you.
What a nice pairing or tasting, taste the young and the age. They're similar, but yet the finish is so entirely different.
Yes. Yep.
Amazing. Well, I want to thank you for discussing all of your different cheeses.
Oh, not a problem.
I'd like to ask all of our cheesemakers and guests is, in your community, how do you participate in your own backyard community, even during COVID times or pre-COVID times? I know your family's been very active in history in the state of Wisconsin and Wisconsin Milk Marketing Board, and I know you guys do a lot. So if there's anything you'd like to share, I'd like to ask our cheesemakers, what do you do in your own community?
Yeah, we work a lot with the dairy farmers of Wisconsin. We work with them through advertising and promotion of our cheese, not only of our cheese, but their organization. So whenever we do an advertisement, we always include the Proudly Wisconsin cheese logo with that. And when they have like cheese tastings or food shows, we always pair up with them. kind of just support the whole state of Wisconsin. Another way would be, just working with, restaurants throughout Wisconsin and even local restaurants like the one I mentioned a block away, Pioneer Keg, which uses our cheese, and a lot of its menu items and fries are brick curds and cheddar curds. And we also, not to boast, but we do donate to charities throughout Wisconsin and the United States. We donate a lot of cheese, and
I know your family does donate a lot to the food banks, and
yes, yeah, we like to give back. So, yep.
I know you do, and that's why I always try and extract it out of the cheesemakers. I know you donate.
Yeah.
And I love letting our viewers and listeners
Well,
know that
I
cheesemakers
mentioned
do.
it's not. It's all the cheesemakers I think are very generous, and they're great people, and yeah, it's a great culture. So I think they
It
do a
is.
lot. They do a lot for the community.
Absolutely. And
Cheesemakers in general. So yep.
I think it's part of what we all live for, is to contribute back to our community.
Yep. And the Wisconsin cheese community is a great community to be a part of. Yeah.
I know I was volunteering at the food bank the other day in our county, post fires, and I happened to be the lucky recipient of a pallet of Wisconsin cheese.
Great.
It
Good
just
to hear.
arrived at Sonoma County for the post glass fire food bank distribution, and there was a pallet of all my favorite cheesemakers.
Yeah, I always get daily updates from the Wisconsin Cheesemakers Association, through this entire pandemic, and they would always talk about all the donations that Wisconsin cheesemakers were providing, so that was good to see.
Well, I'm here to verify that I personally opened a pallet of Wisconsin cheese, and I saw Widmer cheese, I saw Car Valley cheese,
Yep.
saw Hook cheese, Cedar Grove cheese, all the finest.
All the good ones.
Yes. So it was great. I felt lucky that I was actually there for that one day of my volunteering.
Well,
So-
good. I'm glad to hear that. I'm
So
glad to hear it made its way over there. So.
it did make its way through, yes.
Yep.
So if there's anything else you'd like to share about you, your company, Marley, anything else, then Marley behaved the whole session.
Yep. Marley, my dog, King Charles Cavalier, didn't bark at all. I thought that she was going to cause a ruckus, but no, fortunately not. But we didn't talk about the Colby cheese. I just mentioned that it was
Oh,
invented
yes, please.
in the village of Colby, Wisconsin. But we actually won first place blue ribbon in the Colby cheese this year at the 2020 World Championship Cheese Contest
Congratulations.
in the Colby category. Unfortunately,
That's a big deal.
it would happen like 1 to 2 weeks before the pandemic really started, and then the contest really never happened. But the cheese did get judged, so we still have the award and everything. So, but yeah, that's a very mild, buttery cheese, and we make a very traditional Colby. It's almost similar to a mild cheddar, but
Do
it
you
has very buttery characteristics.
I don't know if a lot of viewers know what a Colby is. Do you want to briefly explain what a Colby cheese is, the process?
Yeah, like I said, Colby is similar to cheddar in the make process, but during the process, well, it's a washed curd style type cheese. So we keep the curd in granular form instead of pressing it before it goes into a press. Whereas cheddar, you're pressing it into huge slabs during the cheddaring process. But the Colby we keep in the granular form, like the size of small cottage cheese curds, and then we wash the curd, salt it, and then we add it to the form. And then it's just different cultures as well. So.
Well, I love a good Colby, and there is not a Colby in California that I've seen. So I look forward to whenever I can find yours.
It is kind of a hard cheese to come by. It's only a select few people make it. It's more popular in Wisconsin, obviously, because it was invented here. But like I said, cheddar is probably the most well-known cheese, even in California. So.
Well, way back when, Mr. Vella of Vella Cheese used to actually make a Colby, which was delicious.
Okay.
And he did actually used to sell cheese curds, but he's passed. And the next generation, they're focusing on what they do good, is the dry jacks and the mezzos. But I miss the fresh curds and the Colbys.
Yeah, dry jack would be kind of similar the Colby.
Mhm.
The process would differ, the make process, but there is a difference.
Yes, for sure. Well, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy cheese making day and
Yeah, not a
taking
problem.
your time to discuss your cheeses and how you've managed to increase your mail order during the pandemic. And I hope that you and your family and your cheese family and your community stay safe and healthy.
Thanks. Same to you. I really appreciate you having us on here. And
Absolutely. And tell your father hello. And I appreciate you, Joey, being the next generation, the fourth generation Widmer cheesemaker.
well, thank you. Thank you very much.
And I look forward to the day when I can travel and tour the facility with you.
Yeah, hopefully within the next year things return to normal. So
I will be one of your first visitors from California, I promise.
all right.
Okay, well, thank you, Joey, and I'll send you a text and an email so you have this information, and I appreciate your time, and have a great day. Thank you for tuning in to the Cheese Chat, creating community through cheese. Thank
You
you,
as well.
Widmer Cheese Cellars.